Hello, everyone. Been up all night. Decided to do a film review. I haven't talked about this in my recent editions, but I picked up this George Clooney collection. Came with three films that I didn't own on DVD, but I got a really good deal on it. $5 with free shipping on eBay. And it comes with The Thin Red Line, One Fine Day, and Solaris. Like I said, I hadn't seen any of these films, so I was excited about some of the films on here. The movie I'm going to review today is The Thin Red Line. Now, like I said, I hadn't seen this film, and looking at the cast, I mean, Sean Penn, Adrian Brody, George Clooney, John Cusack, Woody Harrelson, Nick Nolte, Jared Leto's in this film, and then Jim Caviezel. I can't pronounce his name, so I'm just going to call him Jim. I did look up on how to pronounce it before. I mean, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Escape Plan, The Passion of the Christ, Deja Vu. He's been in some stuff I've seen. And him and Sean Penn were really the main characters in this film, along with Nick Nolte, I guess. And I don't know, I guess overall, I was a little bit disappointed in the film. You know, when I think about really good war films from this time period, Saving Private Ryan comes to mind, Braveheart, even though it was a different type of war film. And when I seen this film was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and with this cast, I don't know, I guess I just expected a little bit better. Now, I can see why this film would be the type of film that critics love. It has some lines in it, like like it says here, where is it at? Stunning, full of poetic grandeur. Yeah, it just has them type of scenes critics love, like here where Jim was swimming underwater with the children, and the island or the Pacific Island kids, and scenes like that critics just fawn over. Where me, I don't know, man. Those type of scenes really don't do it for me. The action compared to other war films of the time period to me wasn't really that good. Um, this film didn't have really a lot of feeling or heart to me. I didn't think Nick Nolte did a very good job in this film as the evil general or whatever his rank was, colonel or whatever. George Clooney. You would expect that since this film was in the George Clooney collection, he would be in the film for more than 15 to 30 seconds, but he wasn't. He was only in the film for a little bit at the end. So it didn't take away my enjoyment from the film, but just I was a little disappointed he was only in the film for such a short period of time. Because since I hadn't seen the film and I seen he was in it, I expected, some great performance from him. And yeah, he was only in the film for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. So, overall, I was disappointed in this film. It was okay. I mean, like I said, looking at this all-star cast, it just goes to show that, throwing a bunch of actors in and what amounts to some of them is just cameos, just don't do it. Actors need time to develop. Like Woody Harrelson, I love him as an actor. But, his character in this, he didn't have time to really develop or do anything. Sean Penn, yeah, he's a good actor, but personally, I've never been a huge fan of his work. John Cusack, again, another really good actor, but they're just going back and forth so much between characters that I don't feel like any one of them, besides Sean Penn and Jim Caviezel here, really got a chance to develop. And that being said, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. And hey, 20-year-old movie. I didn't watch it when it first came out, so I'm comparing it in my mind to Saving Private Ryan, to Braveheart, to films like this that I consider to be like epic all-time war films. Even one of my all-time favorite war films as well is Das Boot. One of the few subtitled films that I can watch and enjoy. And man, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to break this film down scene by scene because I'm sure people have seen it that are watching this review right now. It will contain some spoilers in case you haven't seen it. But, it starts off, and I guess, Jim here went AWOL, and I don't know. Somehow they found him, and this freighter stops and picks him up, and they demote him to being a medic. And yeah, I mean, your typical war film. It shows people are scared. They're over in these jungles, but they didn't portray it as like, to me, when I think about the jungle, I think about bugs and snakes and all these crazy animals, and all you've seen was one snake, I believe, just crawling on the ground really quick. I don't believe there was ever anything with bugs. I mean, it talked about how they were like thirsty and stuff like that, how they were lacking water, but it didn't talk about like jungle rot or anything else. So I didn't feel like it was a very accurate description in my mind of a war. The people looked too clean cut. They weren't dirty enough. Yeah, I don't know. Just, man, this film just was, like I said, it's one of them films I can see why critics love, but for me, it was just average at best. It was long too, which I guess, you make a film about war, you throw in this kind of cast, you make it like 2.5 hours long, you're almost guaranteed to get some nomination of some kind, right? And the war scenes, the way they portrayed the enemy, the enemy really didn't have a conscience or character. It was just random people thrown in, different soldiers going through their own little personal turmoils. One guy, he kept having flashbacks of his wife, and turns out, she left him towards the end of the film. Again, that scene just really didn't. I guess they're trying to do some, the scene where him and his wife were like, making love, and then she was like walking out into the ocean. And I just didn't feel. I wasn't feeling those scenes. To me, that wasn't. I mean, I know when you're at war for this long and you got people back home, you miss them a lot, but I just wasn't feeling that connection that they kept trying to portray between those two characters. And then when what's his name? I can't remember his name, but when he like rebelled against Nick Nolte, and then Nick Nolte basically sent him back and said, "Pretend you have malaria." He talked about how he loved all the people he was with, and they were like sons to him. Again, the scenes just seemed generic to me. Those weren't the heartfelt scenes that I feel like I thought this movie was going to portray. Man, sit down and talk about some other stuff about this film. Well, I'll talk about a couple things about the film I did like. I don't think any one actor got a chance to fully develop and give a epic performance, but I like the fact that you did have a great cast. I mean, that certainly doesn't make a movie, but getting all these actors together, I'm sure they had fun filming it. The locations were cool, I guess. Even though, again, some of the locations I could just tell that they're just set up, they're just staged. I mean, they're supposed to be in the middle of the jungle, and they come to this clearing where you can tell all the plants were just placed there. I mean, everything's all clean cut all around. It just wasn't rugged enough for me. I don't know. It just didn't have that rugged, real feel to the film at any time. Didn't really have any funny parts, which, okay, it's a war film. It doesn't, it doesn't have to have funny parts. But for me, you could throw a little bit of humor in. I mean, think about films like, Saving Private Ryan. Like, even let's talk, the beginning of the film, where they're on, they're storming the beaches, and the one soldier gets shot in the helmet, then takes his helmet off, and then gets shot in the head. Like, that's like dark humor. It's a scene that's not. I mean, it's not like laugh out of your seat hilarious, but it's a scene that'll kind of make you giggle in a dark sense of like, we're sitting there all looking at his helmet amazed. And other films, Braveheart had a few funny parts in it. It at least tried, and this film just left me wanting more. Even when it ended, like, the way it ended was anticlimactic in my mind. I mean, so this Jim, Jim Caviezel or whatever his name is, so he's just, at this point, he just becomes this humanitarian, like always trying to do the right thing, giving some speeches about seeing that spark, and he goes to help these two young guys, and he saves one, and he's running through the jungle, and then he's He's Japanese or whatever, whatever they were. Japanese, I'm assuming, yeah. They surround him in the woods, and just this moment of him just sitting there and they're yelling at him, and then he like reaches for his gun and gets shot, and then it switches over to Sean Penn burying him, and then it switches over to George Clooney and his brief appearance in this film where he's talking about how he's the father of the family, and then Sean Penn gives a little speech about how the war has plenty of time to go, and how he's just George Clooney's just another face in a long line of commanders or whatever. I don't know, man. I was just very disappointed in this film. I don't know where, how would I rate this film? I'm not even going to go too far on it. I've already went far enough. And I just keep basically repeating at this point that I don't like this film. So I'm going to cut it off here. I'm not going to talk about any more scenes or anything in it. Again, this film just, I did watch it a couple days ago, and usually I like to do a review right after I watch it. But, man, in this case, I'll give this film 2 stars out of 5. I mean, I can tell they put a lot of money into this, a lot of time into this. They got this great cast together. But in my mind, it just didn't work out. If you guys like the film, tell me why. What am I missing here? Maybe I'll watch it again at some point. Not now, but maybe at some point down the road, I'll watch it again. Maybe maybe it'll be one of the movies I can appreciate over time. But yeah, just wasn't a big fan. 2 stars out of 5. Pretty much all I got to say about the Thin Red Line. Except for, hey, if you gotta look out for the George Clooney collection or other collections. At least that was the first. They have other collections of actors like this, so I'll have to do a little bit more research to make sure that they're actually major players in the film. But all right, that's my review. Like I said, if you guys like it, let me know why. If you guys agree with me, let me know why. Thanks for watching.